Righty, good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. Kat and I are so excited to have you here with us today. Today's session is a hybrid mix, and we were actually just chatting before we let you guys in of who's here for the AI and who's here for the branding and who's here for the hybrid mashup that we're about to see. Kat is an incredible individual who I was very lucky to be introduced to through a client because of the work that she's doing in the space, not just because she's got pink hair. Kat is the founder of AI Cat, which is literally at the forefront of integrating AI with branding, with the long-term goal of empowering startups to do more through branding by leveraging AI. Today, as usual, we're going to stick to our normal format, which is that we are going to do a deep dive with Kat today. It can take up to an hour, but again, I've told her not to worry about timings because best case scenario, we'll give you guys some time back that you've allocated on your Friday morning. So we're going to deep dive into the branding and AI masterclass. When we're done, we will then move into a Q&A session before we get stuck into some networking. Don't cringe and get the heebie-jeebies when I say networking. This is all a very wholesome space, and we basically just go through, introduce ourselves. It's an opportunity for you guys to meet other self-employed people, small business owners, other people on the same journey as you, connect with each other on socials, and it also gives us an opportunity to share what went well for us this week. As business owners, it's very easy to focus and measure what has gone wrong rather than what's gone well. So we just kick off on a Friday morning at the end of each session by talking about what went well for us this week. And so without further ado, I'm going to hand over to the brilliant Kat.
Thank you very much. I'm really excited to be here today. This is actually my very first masterclass I'm giving ever. So please bear with me. I've done my best. And I try to have quite a top view of artificial intelligence because I don't know how well versed you all are in AI. And I try to also do like a top view of branding. So I will start. If I can actually click to the next slide. So I'll start with the introduction, then I do an AI interview, a broad brand overview, and then I've got some examples because I actually want you to leave this class and be able to apply something to help yourself. You don't then have to pay me £2,000 for a workshop. Then you just have to subscribe to the MVP when it launches. So I really wanted to do something that can help you. So just a bit of who I am. I mainly put my wedding photo up there so you can see how good looking my husband is. And I got married like 2 years ago. He's originally from Colombia. He's the sweetest person. He's got nothing to do with any cocaine trafficking. He really, he doesn't even drink coffee, to be honest. And the photo just below is me on Peak 13, Devil's Peak in South Africa. I did, just after COVID, I did 13 peaks, which is 103 kilometers, 6,000 meters of elevation over 3 days, which was for me a massive thing because I'd been sick for 2 years and then I did it to prove to myself that I'm healthy. So I think I did that. So yes, I've also gone through some difficult things in life and it just makes you so appreciative. And that is actually why I am where I am today, because I would never have started my own business if that didn't happen. So I'm very grateful. I've worked with some of the world's biggest brands. You can see there, I'm very proud to put them up. And there are 2 logos there that I put up, which are both startups, Faithful to Nature and Coco Rio. And when I started there, the logos were the ones below them. And then we rebranded them. And I think you can see the logos are far more on time for today and far more digitally appropriate. And the irony is, now that I've started mine and I made a little cat, I realized I'm going to have to rebrand my little cat as well, because it might not be the best cat for AI Cat. So I'm also following my own startup journey, and I've done a lot of courses. I studied marketing, but I'm not an artificial intelligence boffin. I didn't study science. I didn't study AI. I'm in marketing, but I've done a lot to teach myself. So you might have some questions that I can't answer, and then I'm just going to be very honest with you. So that's just about who I am. So let's start with the AI overview. So AI, and this is very important, mimics human intelligence, allowing us to use it every single day. So at its core, it really just is computer sciences focusing on creating systems that are capable of doing tasks normally humans are able to do. And this is obviously things like recognizing speech, making decisions, translating languages, and identifying images. Okay, so it's not actually intelligent in itself. It's the humans that are intelligent that created it. And I always think that this is really important. And one of the reasons I dived into AI is because when I started in marketing, there were no digital marketing. And I didn't upskill myself at the time. And I think it actually costed me in my career, because 5 years later, the whole world had changed. And I was quite a strategic marketeer, but I couldn't myself actually put a Facebook post up, except for my personal self. So I decided I'll never do that with artificial intelligence. And that is why I forced myself to actually understand it. So the 4 core AI concepts is the machine learning, which is basically where the computers learn from data to improve their accuracy over time without being explicitly programmed for each task. And the best example of this is Netflix and Spotify, where they learn what songs you like and they recommend better ones. And just so you know, Netflix, did you know that the little block of Netflix that you see, even the little picture, is personalized to you? They even know which little picture to show you, so you'll watch the show. So if you look at a friend screen of Netflix, the latest show might have a different picture on it because they know what images draw you in, which is incredible. I didn't know that till I did research for this masterclass. And then natural language processing enables machines to read, understand, and interpret human languages, making our interactions obviously more natural and intuitive. And the most easy example of this is a chatbot. Now, I don't know how many of you have spoken with chatbots on websites and stuff. The first thing I always ask for is, can I please speak to a human, in capital letters? And then it just normally gives me like a link to a website. Sadly, it's quite hard to get through to humans these days, but it has obviously helped businesses a lot. And then robotics, which is a very cool part, which unfortunately is not my startup, which is very obvious. It is like robots can do things which are dangerous for humans. It's basically manufacturing and a more operational thing that is being done by computers. And then computer vision, which is more the era where we are in now. This is where machines aren't able to understand visuals, like recognizing faces and photos. And this is a lot of technology behind security cameras. Now, a very important thing here is the ethicalness of computer vision. In the States, there's been 2 legal cases of people who have been arrested and imprisoned based on computer vision identification. And it is not exact science yet, and people have made mistakes. So this is an example of where the AI that we use and we all think is going to be a solution can also make a mistake. And you must always remember that when using even ChatGPT, it sometimes hallucinates, it makes mistakes. It's not always correct. And I think this is something that is good for us to know as well, that humans always have to oversee artificial intelligence at some point to keep it on track, because it's not at a level yet where it is actually perfect. Then my next slide is something, so this is the most complicated thing we're going to talk about. The next slide is a video that I'm actually going to show you, a YouTube video, which to me, the moment I understood this, I sort of just understood what was going on inside ChatGPT, which really helped me a lot. So this is an artist, an AI artist, and I hope it's not going to show you a 10 or 3-second clip of another thing, of an ad, but I'll let you watch like 1 minute of this, and then I'm going to explain to you what I would like you to take out from it. Let me just turn my volume up.
Looking to invest?
Oh, no, God,
Interactive investor. We've got an eye for investing.
Here we go.
It's easy to get lost in Rafik Anadol's surreal installations. But dig a little deeper, and you realize his work is made up of millions of tiny pieces, and that every single little point represents a piece of data that he's fed through a neural network to show us his vision of our future.
I was always like trying to speculate this idea of can data become a pigment? At the end, the data is a truly numbers that has no kind of any skin or skeleton. But what I'm trying to as an artist is find the algorithm that can narrate the moment of data, kind of like make that invisible moment visible.
Enormous data sets inspire most of Anadol's art, and he uses machine intelligence and algorithms to create visualizations, what he calls data sculptures, like this piece called Machine Hallucinations. He started by finding 113 million images of New York online.
And let the machine learn from this entire corpus of data. And
okay, so that's all we have to look up to. So for me, what this really helped me with is to understand data as almost like you saw the images that he had there, like millions of little in the one picture, and that's how he visualizes the data. And if you can think about it, ChatGPT has 175 billion parameters. And that is an enormous amount. Like in that video for me, just like visually shows it so well, like all those millions of little dots. And that is why it is able to mimic human intelligence, because it has got so much information in it that every time you type something in or you ask it a question, it is 175 billion parameters who all interact with each other and are able to then give an output which sounds just like an intelligent being, but it really isn't. It's actually just 175 billion parameters working on like almost like a Lego block thing to build what you want to see. And if you think of branding, and if you think of your brand tone, and some of you completed the questionnaires, and there was a math tutor, and there was someone who does like house building, and everyone put their tones in. And I loved seeing that. And I think some of you have some great businesses. There was one that made me quite emotional, was the house one, where they said everyone, like their thing is to make sure people are happy at home and how many families they've helped. And that's really beautiful. But if you think of your brand tone and you think of 4 words, and you put those 4 words like relatable, friendly, happy, kind into ChatGPT, your 4 words are going into something which is 175 billion parameters. So it is almost impossible for your brand then to stand out, because you are only describing your brand with 4 words, which is a brand tone. And that is not enough. It is like me only being described by my voice, which at the incubator, I'm now at the founder of the incubator, thinks I've got a super screechy voice. So like, you know, maybe it's not screechy. But my husband does sometimes wear earplugs, I have to be honest. He says it takes some frequencies off. But okay, so you think if you're just being described by your voice and your tone, if people are only putting their brand tone into ChatGPT to help it to write more like their brand, it really will not stand up. And what's worse, because there's 175 billion parameters, the algorithm is mean. And there's a pun in there. It is about the average, but it is also then mean to your brand. Because if you say, like, let's say Rachel says her business is relatable, and I think part of the Strivex brand is definitely being relatable. It's not a hoity-toity brand or poshy brand, but a lot of businesses today want to be relatable. So let's say half of you put relatable in, the other half put authentic in, 30% put friendly, 50% put kind. Most of the words today that people are putting in their tones are the same as other people's words. So because of the algorithm that always goes for the average, there's even more likeliness that you're going to sound like the person next to you if you're using ChatGPT. And the reason why this drove me mad is because I was working at a startup last year. I had to create all the content myself. After I had all these jobs, I was making the mailers, I was writing every single caption, I was writing every single blog. And trust me, I'm not a good writer. And I tried to use ChatGPT to write the stuff, and it was awful. But I could see how much it could help. And I know that all small businesses are in exactly the same position. You cannot cope with all the work that you've got going on, and you don't have time to spend 5 days on do an expensive course on ChatGPT to understand exactly how to make it speak like your brand. and you can't get it to speak like your brand, but you can see the efficiency. So what I'm going to teach you today, hopefully will help you to be able to use ChatGPT to speak more like your brand, because that is really what will help you. To just get it to just write the general blog in some weird nondescript tone is not really what you want. And you can also use the principle I'm teaching you today for a lot of other things in your business, and also use in AI. So I was going to explain to you what AGI is, but I'm not sure if you want to know. It's the hot topic in AI today. It is artificial general intelligence. And this is the AI I think we should be scared of. The one we've got now is just actually like Lego blocks that's doing what we want it to do. AGI is actually, all these Lego blocks have now learned how to learn. And it can perform tasks on its own and like innovate on its own. And that is quite scary, because if it can learn for itself, it can teach itself, and it can learn new things, and we don't know what it's going to learn. And it's got, again, it will have more than 175 billion parameters of everything in the world in, and the world is not the best place today. So, okay, then just some practical things. If you are maybe speaking to your marketing team, I don't know who of you have used these models. I don't know, maybe put your hands up. Have you tried to create images on anything? Yes, yes. People have tried to create images. Brilliant. We have image creators. Has anyone tried to create video? No, video. Okay. Video is very hard. I have also tried to create video. I will show you some of my videos later, and then you can see how hard it is. So obviously the three key formats for marketing, which is branding, is text, image, and video. The company who does text, we all know OpenAI, and the product brand is ChatGPT, and that is a large language model. And the easiest way to describe a large language model really is like going to a cocktail bar and ordering a cocktail. You can go and say, I want a drink, and you might actually just get, I mean, they might give you whiskey, I don't know, they might give you the house red wine. But if you go and you say, want a cocktail, that's more specific. You might actually get a martini, you could get a strawberry daiquiri. But if you go and say, I want a fruity cocktail with ice and a straw and vodka based, you're going to get, the more you tell the bartender, the more closer you're going to get to what you want. And if you can imagine like a Michelin star restaurant where they serve cauliflower in 5 ways. They bake the cauliflower for 5 hours, then they soak it in miso for 10 years, and then blah, blah, blah. And then when you eat it, it's like, wow, you can taste that it's been made by Michelin star chef. But if you take cauliflower from Marks and Spencer and you steam it in the microwave, it tastes like cauliflower. Now, large language models are also a bit like chefies and bartenders like that. The higher quality input you give it, the higher quality output it gives you. And if you speak to it like, so like if I speak to it for medical things, what the answers it will give me won't be as good as the answers it gives a doctor, because it'll be able to detect that the doctor knows a lot. So sometimes when you're using ChatGPT and you want to understand something which you are not an expert in, it really helps to ask it things like, how would a doctor ask this question? Or how would a really smart accountant like ask this question to you differently, and see what it says, because it will start using words that it identifies with the expertise. But it really is the quality you put in, the quality you get out. And that's really important when you're creating marketing and branding material. And this is the last slide on AI, and then we're going to jump into the branding. And then the image, Stability AI, everyone who works at Stability, it's a British company, by the way. I've met the founder. They are the nicest people. It is such a nice company. Anyway, they launched the first big one, which is Stable Diffusion, which is the images. And the best way to explain that is the general adversarial networks. And I always remember it like an adversary. So let's say you're in the Louvre, and the way it works is there is all these original paintings in the Louvre, and there's a judge and there's a forger. And the forger starts at the beginning of the Louvre, and he starts to imitate the paintings. And the more he starts imitating, the more the judge tells him where and how he's close to the original. And by the time he gets to the end of the Louvre, he's creating a forgery, which is exactly like the original. And this is exactly how a general adversarial model works. So the whole time bringing real images, and then it's trying to create something as close as possible. And obviously, the more we use it, the more practice it gets, and the better and better the images get. That's why Mid-Journey, all these models. If you used it 6 months ago, you'll see that you put a prompt in now that you put in 6 months ago, and the image is much better. Why? Because a lot more people used it, and a lot more fake and real images to learn from. And then, thank God, video, Google Gemini has an easy name, a transformer, and that is basically just the general adversarial network on steroids, because it's now got dimension and movement in. And it would be like you're sitting and telling your child a bedtime story, and as you explain it, like Little Red Riding Hood is walking in the forest, suddenly here appears Red Riding Hood. And if you say the forest has got snow and it's a cold day and Red Riding Hood is like 1.5 meters tall with a cerise red coat, again, the more you explain, the more it will create in detail. So, but this one has got movement and dimension. So you can use all of these, and actually you can tell ChatGPT what colors you wanted to create images, and so it's more on brand. So that is the end of AI, because that is, I love AI, but I love branding a lot more. So let's get to branding. So I want to ask you one of my favorite questions. Actually, last night we did this pitch thing, which I was so nervous about. But I started my pitch actually also on like, what is your why? Like, what is your purpose? Like each one of you, what makes you wake up in the morning? Now, if you ask yourself, what is your brand's why? What is your brand's purpose? And I'll tell you a golden secret. ChatGPT loves this. If you tell ChatGPT what your brand purpose is, it starts creating content to answer the purpose, because it understands how important purpose is. So it is something which you need to understand for your brand. But it really helps to know this. I mean, I actually also often ask myself, what is my why? Because in this incubator we're doing, they're giving us millions of talks. You must know your why, so when times get tough. And brands, just like people, they need a very strong, robust why and purpose to survive in today's marketplace. And good, strong, purposeful branding really is the origin of all good marketing. And your purpose, your why of your brand, is actually the reason why people convert to your brand and become loyal customers. And they stay then, because once you've spent a lot of money on PPC and Facebook ads, and you've got £3 billion to spend on marketing, you've saturated the market now, and now you can't buy a share anymore, you can't advertise, you can't discount. Then people are coming to you for what you do as a brand. So it's always very good to start out like that, because it also allows you to generate a lot of organic traffic. Sorry, I thought I was hearing something. I'm staying at my friend's in London, and she's got a dog, and I was convinced the dog is behind me, but Lulu is not behind me. Okay, so I started in marketing 25 years ago. And then there was no digital. So there was no Facebook, no nothing. And we could only flight 3 TV ads a year. Sounds so old-fashioned, but it was. And TV ads were only 30 seconds long. So you had the whole year, and the only time you could actually show your customers a video was 3 times a year, and you only could make 3 of like 1 each. So you had 30 seconds to communicate to your customers. And today we make millions of videos. We put thousands of reels up. Did you know that in the UK, 1.6 million TikToks are uploaded every day? So if you think of that vast amount of video, and 20 years ago, only people with like billions of pounds could actually put TV ads out. So we spent hours and days and months working on the messaging. And that is really where old school branding comes from, is because you need to know your customers so well, and you need to know your messaging so well that you can communicate very strongly to your customers in the little space and time you've got. So what about a brand key? So today I'm going to explain some brand modeling to you. So I just want to pull my notes up on the laptop next to me that I make sure I cover everything. And I think this is really important for your brand DNA. Now, your brand DNA that you create, you can literally copy and paste it and go and put it into your custom instructions in ChatGPT, which I'll show you at the end of this. So it needs to be truthful. It must obviously be real and honestly represent your brand. And it's good if it's got some aspirational value as well. And it needs to be sustainable. So actually some challenges that I've got, not that this is a brand DNA, is why is it AI cat? because maybe in 5 years' time, everything is going to be AI, and then you don't need to say it. So you need to think of something more enduring than the current trend. And then ownable, obviously, is a singular. Now, this is something that I'm very strong on. You can see the cat is all shocking. My hair is pink. I've worked out everything so that, you know, like at least I'll stand out, which is definitely happening. And that's really important also because the tools we're using increasingly are all AI driven and is always looking for a way to squish everyone together. So you need to be very strong, and it is better to describe your brand in a new, fresh way than to use current trendy words, because then you'll sound just like everyone else. And then powerful. Obviously, we all want our brand DNA to be powerful and inspire other people and our customers. And I think that's actually something that StriveX does really well. I think that Rachel, because she's such, I'm not saying this because this is her call, but it is a brand that really manages to make people feel empowered and make you feel that finance is not like this thing that you are not capable of doing. It makes it feel quite accessible, but very inspirational. Okay, so the must-have of a brand. So purpose. I put it number one because this is number one. And I always thought it was number one, and I was very, very happy to see that AI also sees that this is very important. So this is a societal purpose that drives your passion. And then positioning. So this is how we wish to be thought of in our audience minds. So this can be a brand tone as well, but it's a little bit more than a brand tone. I've got some examples on the next slide. And then your promise. So this is what you do, but also what you're going to deliver. So dental is like kills 99% of all germs. And proposition is your key value proposition that you offer to your customers. ChatGPT also really responds well to this. And if you, for example, put in your custom instructions in ChatGPT, I offer these 3 core services, or these are my service pillars, or it loves this or that, like it will remember that because it's in the custom instructions, and you can just like go write a mailer for Friday for the target market, and it will just remember all these things you told it. So that is amazing. The more detailed, the better, the better. And then the personality. So the trend today is a lot on brand tone. What's your tone? I like to add personality as well, because it's a little bit more rich and it just brings a little bit more definition to the party. So these things, and I mean, you can have a brand tone as well, and you can add things like how you want to write things in a specific way. Something can always be a capital, or you prefer the American spelling of this word. So you can give it really detailed instructions. But whether or not to use artificial intelligence, these 5 keywords, if you can have that for your brand and you try and incorporate that into your communication, it will really make a big difference. So just like I've made some examples here. At the moment, I'm a little bit obsessed with the Monzo brand because, ironically, ChatGPT loves it as well and understands it very well. And I'll show you a little test in the next few slides. So Dove, you can see there, to empower individuals to feel confident in their own skin by advocating for real beauty standards. And then the positioning is also really strong, like champions real beauty in all its forms, promoting self-esteem among women and sizes. And then proposition is offers products that provide genuine care for skin and hair, promoting natural beauty rather than perfection. And actually, the boss I had at Vodafone, she was the one who came up with this campaign. And I think that this Dove campaign really started a big trend in the world, and marketing has the power to create trends in the world. But it was at the time it was launched, this Dove campaign of real beauty, it was the very first of this real beauty trend. And thank God for that, because, I mean, the hang-ups some of the older people grew up with is terrible. And then promise commits to creating a world where beauty is a source of confidence, not anxiety, through products that care for the consumer and campaigns that inspire. So personality, empathetic, inclusive, genuine, and caring. Dove seeks to inspire and empower, fostering a supportive community around the concept of real attainable beauty. So, I mean, I put these others on also knowing that you might get the extent to you that there are more examples, but I'm not going to go through them because I know that you guys understand already, but it's really useful to go and do this for your brand. And you know what? Even if you're not a brand expert, just treat it like it's a human being. And the rule is like the more simple you can say it, the better it is. Like I love using fluffy words and sounding smart, right? But actually it's pointless. You just need to say the things the way they are, put them in a document, and it's a good start. Starting is better than not having anything. Okay, so now I'm going to show you some tips and examples. So that was a very fast way to show you like what you must have for your brand, and maybe thinking, okay, like, what am I going to do with that now? Well, I'm hoping to show you. So I'm not going to share more than one screen, so we might have a lag, but I think that this will be very, very useful for you guys to see. So, okay, Rachel, bear with me. I'm going to escape and then just copy and paste some stuff because I pre-prepared prompts to help you, to show you guys. Okay, let me just actually get out of presenting. There we go. Okay, your screen sharing is paused. That's fine. Just getting a prompt. Okay, go to ChatGPT. Zoom share. Zoom. Okay, I'm going to have to go back to Zoom. Let's just see. It's ChatGPT. Okay, so there we go. Can you see my screen? You can see my ChatGPT. So I've just made this sentence up. Okay, bank, thank you for contacting me. We are committed to providing you with exceptional service and support for all your banking needs. Whether you have a question about your account, you can see it's very boring. So I'm just like, please rewrite this in the Monzo brand tone, but do not refer to Monzo at all. You can even do that. We can say Monzo. Hey there, thanks for reaching out. And you can see immediately the way it's writing is much cooler. Like we're all about banking straightforward and supportive and just tailored for you. Got a query about your account, need to hang out navigating online. So this just immediately is transformed to a much cooler thing by just saying the Monzo brand tone. Now, if you have ChatGPT 4, which I strongly recommend, it's £20 a month. What you can also do is you can, for example, there's an ad agency called Love Gun. There we go. And they've got a great tone on their website. You can go and say, please write this. And then just, oh, wait, this copy. Bank, thank you, blah, blah, blah. In this tone. So because it has access to the internet, it literally goes to that website and it takes the tone and it writes it. Now, this is not the product that I'm building. It won't just take the websites and stuff. It's way more in depth than this, but it's something that I thought I'll show you because it is quite helpful to know that you can go find a blogger or a piece of content that you think this really sounds like how I want to write my brand, or this is really how I want my brand to sound. And you can literally take that and put that into ChatGPT and ask it to write like that. Now, that is a quick fix around obviously creating a proper like brand DNA, answering the 5 questions thoroughly. And then the next one, can you guys still see my screen? What are you seeing? This is what I don't know. There we go. Okay, test your brand. Okay, so I have taken StriveX's website. And
no, we're currently rebuilding it. Don't use our.
I suspected. Do you want me not to use it?
No, it's fine. I would love some feedback. It'd be great.
You guys can see my ChatGPT? Yes?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to paste StriveX and say, please, can you give me the purpose, positioning, promise, proposition, personality, and tone of this website in a table in this interface. By the way, that's a hot tip, in a table in this interface. Oh, now it says it can't go to Strive X. And yesterday when I tested it, it did work. We are now going to have to use another website. Anyone want to volunteer? Okay. This is Katie. What's your website? We need to get you off mute. Or you're going to put it in the messaging chat.
This is exciting.
Katie, we can't hear you still. Do you want to message it? Let me just...
Oh, I can put Katie's website in the chat. One sec.
Thank you, thank you. I just have to find the chat now, guys. You know, I'm really, this shows my age.
It's literally hrkatie.co.uk.
There we go. Okay,
I
fine.
assumed Katie was volunteering her own website. If not, sorry, Katie.
Okay, there we go, Katie. I found you. Better now come to the party, ChatGPT. Please, let me just, I don't know if you can still see everything on my screen for you guys. Okay, there we go. Just copy.
I'm so sorry, Kat. I lost my mouse and then I couldn't actually do
No, don't
anything.
worry.
So
Don't
thanks,
worry.
Rachel, and thank you for picking me. Pick me. Thank you.
Here we go. Okay, sorry. Please give this website tone. Better now. You have direct access to this site. But ChatGPT sometimes does this, guys. I'm sorry. This is terrible. I tested it 100 times and I know it can work. Okay, so let's see. Boom.
This is so interesting.
Boom, boom, boom. I love ChatGPT, guys. There you go. So this is a really good, and I mean, if you guys want to do it on your, if you've got ChatGPT open, you want to do it, I'm very happy to do another one. Katie, I'll get this to you, by the way. So you can take this and you can go through it and you can improve it, but let me show you the top tip of the year. So you copy this, okay? And please, people, if you start using ChatGPT, get yourself Google Docs and paste the stuff you love back in Google Docs. Because like me, I've got like probably 1,000 chats or 3,000 chats. And I have some brilliant stuff that I did at one day at some afternoon, and I cannot find it in my 3,000 chats. So get a Google document if you get something great, like I prepared for this masterclass, all the pre-prompts. And then you go and paste your good stuff on a Google Doc. I don't know if you guys can still see my screen. Anyway, I pasted Katie's stuff now. Just making it black. Okay, I don't know if you guys are still seeing my Word document. Can you see the Word document? Okay, brilliant.
Yeah, we can.
Brilliant. Okay, so there's Katie's thing. You can also just copy and paste the tables into Excel, by the way. Super cool. Table in this interface, very important. If you just say table, it sometimes gives you code. So we can take this table now. Oopsie. And we can go to chat to, so Katie can now spend 2 hours next week, and she can maybe decide to improve this a little bit and say, okay, this is not exactly what she wants to say about her brand. And then she can go to ChatGPT, and even if you don't pay the premium, you can do it. You click on your name, then there's settings, there's customize ChatGPT, my GPTs and my plan. Go to customize ChatGPT. And then it says there, what would you like ChatGPT to know about you to provide better responses? You can put your website URL in there. And then how would you like ChatGPT to respond? Please always respond using these brand parameters. Boom. You paste what you just got all into there. Knows exactly what it is because it's coming in its own format. And then you can put Katie's website in there as well. So it's got all the information of your website. Please use this as reference for all content. Save. So let's ask a question now. How do I hire people? I'm just trying to see how well it's gonna. So I didn't test Katie's thing because I obviously didn't have a website, but I can assure you that it's answering it differently than it would have if I didn't put the stuff in the custom instructions. And I'll show you, please make jokes and use emojis.
Sorry to butt in, but can you tell it to never ever use the rocket emoji?
Yes, you can. You can do that.
telling it not to use the rocket emoji.
You can tell it that. You can definitely tell it to do that.
Why do we not like the rocket emoji?
Because I read something once, Rach, that said it's so obvious because ChatGPT always uses the rocket emoji. So
I
ever since
love
then,
the
I've been
rocket
allergic to the
emoji.
rocket
I
emoji.
use the rocket.
Loves. Please make jokes. And another thing, it hierarchies the data. So the stuff you put first, it's going to always remember the best. Okay, enable for new chats. We have to make a new chat. New chat. How do I hire people? Here, look. Hiring people can feel like you're trying to solve a Rubik's Cube. Look at all the emojis.
Oh, unicorn. That's way better.
Yeah, resume, radio, interview, fiesta, culture, fit check. I mean, it's gonna come up with ridiculous stuff. So this is actually, I'm glad we took Katie's website, but you can see putting stuff in custom instructions. And if you put quality into custom instructions, you get quality out of ChatGPT. It really is going to make your life much better. Now, obviously, the service that I offer now as a human being before I've automated myself is doing workshops to come up with a thing which is called a brand key. And then I take that with the small businesses. I do like a 3-hour, 4-hour workshop. We do the brand key, and then I take it away. And obviously, I've got some knowledge on AI and how AI responds to certain things, because just remember what Katie thinks is friendly or Elizabeth thinks is friendly versus what Rachel and I think is friendly might be two different things. And then we still have the general population's friendly, which is on ChatGPT. So sometimes people think their brand is super humorous, but actually it's not. Or the problem with ChatGPT is you say humorous and it always goes off the rocker. So there are things like saying just a touch of humor or just a little bit of quirkiness. Like you always have to be very specific, because when you give it like a little bit of uniqueness, whoa, because it's not, thank God there's something fresh. So then I obviously help you and we make a massive custom prompt. And that is what I'm trying to automate now, because I mean, honestly, it shouldn't be hard to use ChatGPT to make content. So that is the main, let me see now, I've not actually gone according to the plan of my slides, but that's a good thing because you guys learned something probably. Does anyone else want to test their website? Is anyone else dying for us to do a test on the website? No, boom. There's immediately very smooth move. Alexandra just quickly DM'd his website into the chat. Let's just paste it. Okay, please give me the, now it's going to make a funny one. Okay, I just have to go and disable the
Why does it feel scary to like volunteer yourself? Like it's going to come back and be like, this is a terrible website.
It doesn't do that generally. It's
That's where my like anxious brain would go, would be that if I put it in, it would be like, I can tell you nothing.
That's exactly the purpose, positioning. I'm checking my spelling, guys. I spell very badly. I've got ADHD, and one thing I can't do is spell. That's one of the reasons I started to using proposition, personality. Why I started using ChatGPT and tone of this website in a table in this interface. So sometimes ChatGPT tells you it can't access the internet, then you just say, stop it and say, like, it's like it's doing now again. You can, I get so irritated, you can access the internet. Stop being lazy. Oh, now suddenly it can. You see, sometimes you just have to tell it to do stuff. It's like a naughty kid sometimes, ChatGPT. There we go. Alexandra, there's your thing. So I hope that is close to what you think it is. So I can't see your face. But I'm going to...
Yeah, this is very aligned with what Alexandra does.
Okay, good, good, good. That's cool. So
Ooh, sophisticated personality. Alexandra. Love it.
there we go. So I'm copying this just so that I've got it, and I'll send it to, I'll just go to contact or something, or you can just, I'll get it to you if you want it. Okay, so oops. There we go. So you guys can all go and do it. And honestly, I think it's 100% worthwhile to pay 20 quid to get ChatGPT 4 because it really makes a difference to your life. But again, I'm saying that now, and I run my own business. My poor husband is paying my 500,000 subscriptions I sign up to do. Everything is £15. Oh, it's just £15. Oh, I'll just do this. It can do all of this stuff. And then £315 later, we all have to contact StriveX. So that is where we were in the presentation. Okay, so basically this is what I've talked you through. I'm back on Canva. Just trying to pull us back into some structure. But it was super fun to do that. Thank you. So what I suggest you do, you can test it on ChatGPT and run a workshop with your team. And if it's you and a co-founder, you guys run a workshop. You go to a coffee shop or you go somewhere where you don't normally work. This is very important when you do creative work. If you're doing this brand thing, please go to a new place. Just so that you're in a different place, go to the British Library if you're in London, go to a place, you're not seeing my screen. Let me just start sharing again. Share screen. Sorry, I think we're almost running out of time. I wanted to show you guys the blog prompt as well. And I've got a bunch of prompt tips, but I can put it all in an email and email it to you guys afterwards. Okay, now you're seeing my screen. So go to a different place, all the things that are important to you. And you know, I showed you 5P things. It doesn't matter. Use that as a foundation. But if you come up with something like our values, but you call it something else, like what makes us cool, like if you have got a thing about being cool, then you put that in. It doesn't matter whether or not people work in brand. It doesn't matter what other people say. If it's something that's important to your business, if it can be a data point that makes you look different and stand out under 175 billion parameters, you put it in. And I'm saying all of this now very much branding related to AI, but you know what? Even if you never ever use AI in your whole life, if you have stuff that you feel makes your business unique and it's in no other brand book, just ignore the brand book, because that is what makes good brands, is if you do something new and something fresh and something ownable. So, but if you're using ChatGPT, think data points. Think storytelling. So the guys who answered the questionnaires, I asked, what's a really good human story? So something which you don't know about me is this is actually a fabulous pink wig. 5 years ago, I got really ill with lupus, a cutaneous lupus, which is a skin lupus, and I had sores all over my whole body. I looked like a leper. And the reason I'm wearing a wig is because my scalp had so many scars on that my follicles died. So I've got like super patchy, dodgy hair. So obviously this is a much better thing to do. But I mean, that was really hard. But if you think of your brand, the stories the people wrote were really emotional. And those things work really well. And I know my dad is an accountant, by the way, and I love him very much. And he's not the most emotional person, but he can be emotional. So even if you're struggling, and actually lots of accountants are emotional people, but if there's always a story to tell, and that really works with audiences, true stories. I actually personally struggle with that a lot because it makes you vulnerable, and I don't like being vulnerable. I like looking like everything's perfect. It's just the way I was brought up and how I am. But actually just being honest is like sometimes people like that the most. And write it out, because then you can see it, test it again. And you know what? If you've got customers, ask them, what do you think is our purpose? What do you think is our tone? What do you think is our brand personality? Because they're the ones that you're communicating to. So ask them. I was just doing customer research this week, and it turns out the people I thought wanted the product or not, they like it, but there are other people who think it's fantastic. So you must always challenge yourself. Okay. So this I've shown you. Okay, the blog prompt I'm going to show you, and then we can stop, because I was going to show you how to do images and videos and stuff and show you how awful some of our videos are, but I don't think you guys need it. If I show you one thing which I think is going to be super valuable for all of you is the blog prompt. So you can use ChatGPT to do blogs. It works very well. I've made millions of blogs on ChatGPT. But one thing better than ChatGPT is Microsoft Bing Copilot. So it is using ChatGPT, but it is just a lot better at blogs because it gives you more, because it is on the internet itself, the SEO strength is just much bigger. And I think a lot of people are using it for blogs, so the blog quality is much better. So I'm now going to go out of my presentation again, and then I promise we can stop, Rachel, because I can see we're over time already. But I have to show you guys this blog prompt. It will change your life. So master, you can see I prepared a lot of stuff for you guys, custom blog. So I'm also going to copy this blog and put it in the chat, so you guys all have it in case we never see each other again. There we go. Blog prompt pasted in the chat. And you can obviously put your own website in there. Oh, and I just put my website accidentally in the chat. That was not planned, but now you can see my website. Okay, so let me just go to Microsoft Bing, which I open on Safari to show you guys. And then I'll share my screen again. So this is Microsoft Bing. You just go into Google, you type www Bing, go to Copilot, and then in this chat, you can just ask it to write your blog. So I'm going to just read this blog, and I'm going very fast now because we're running out of time. Please write a 1,000-word blog on the importance of content creation in startups with 5 core sections, some top tips and examples of what brands are doing it really well. You're writing the blog for this website. Copy and paste your website. Please adhere to the tone of the site and take competitors into account, and optimize content for SEO using the words content creation at least 10 times in the blog and AI content creation at least 5 times. So for those who are not SEO experts, the density of words are important. So the words that you want people to search for you, you must put them like as many times as possible into your blogs and on your website. So the volume and how many times they mention is important. The target market is startup business in London. Please link reputable sources to increase the backlinks. Okay, boom. And maybe you've all done this, but I mean, I find this is super useful. So there we go. It shows you it's mentioning the word. And it's just a beautiful interface. Look at the nice formatting. So you can just then take this blog and you can read it again, and you can improve it. But one thing about asking it is like, what is it? Like, why you should do it? Give it tips. Set clear goals. You can see it's writing a really nice blog with proper subheadings and things, which is really, really awesome. I mean, I wrote blogs for the startup I worked with. It took me hours. It took a day for me to write the blog. I don't know why that's not capital letters. Now it's gone all weird now that I'm showing some other people how to do it. At least we all can read it. Conclusion. And then you'll see it's going to give us links. And again, you just copy this all into a Word document so you don't lose it, because you lose stuff. People lose stuff. Normally it gives about 4 or 5, but you can even specify it. So you can see that this is then a very good blog that it wrote. So that makes your life much easier. You can also ask, you can put that same prompt into ChatGPT, but I find that Microsoft Bing is doing better blogs for SEO purposes. Okay, that was not the end of the chat, but we have to end here. So thank you, guys. I hope I did something that can actually help you. That was the main purpose. Handing over back to Rachel.
Amazing, thank you. Does anyone have any questions for Kat before we get stuck into some networking? It's all blown my mind a little bit, to be honest. I'm excited to watch this again 3 times over. But does anyone have any questions? You can take yourself off mute. You can put them in the chat.
I've got one question. Thanks for all that. It's really interesting. I mean, I've done a bit of AI from a sort of maths perspective, but not really from a kind of sort of the sort of practical stuff that sort of helps get content out. It's yeah, lots of really interesting stuff in there. The only one thing that I've used that's similar before, and I wondered if you had a comparison to it, is a tool called Jasper. Do you know Jasper?
I know Jasper very, very well. Yes.
And because obviously that, yeah, go on.
No. Ask your question first.
Well, I was just going to say, because obviously that existed some time before ChatGPT was out and is very kind of like marketing focused. And I use that a little bit effectively. And I'm just wondering, I haven't used it for ages. And I'm just sort of thinking about, do you go back to a tool like that? It looks like ChatGPT these days can, you can get a lot more of it for free or for cheaper. Jasper was always quite an expensive tool as well. But like it sort of dealt a bit with that like expertise of kind of what to do, because it sort of told you a lot of, what I get the sense of from this is, and from I think from a lot of AIs, that like you said with the doctor, right? You can use this really well because you're an expert in marketing, really, not particularly so much about the AI, right? I mean, it's the fact that you feed it your marketing expertise and it outputs something that's quite sensible for most people's businesses.
So Jasper is the best in the market, and that company 3 years was valued at 1.4 billion, and they made £100 million revenue in less than 3 years. Okay, so they're doing very, very well. The challenge with Jasper is that some people still feel that the content is a bit generic and it's not getting the brands as right as it could. And that is the problem with a lot of the things. And also the prompting, some people struggle to get it to write what they wanted to write. And I think, I mean, you guys can tell me if I'm wrong or right. The problems I identified in startups is, first of all, the AI tools are quite complicated to use. Because you are a startup, you're doing a million things, and then to become an expert now at prompting suddenly, it's just like another huge thing you have to be able to do. So I want to make it super easy. Like, you must be able to just speak to the thing that must do it, right? I mean, this is AI after all. And then obviously my focus will try and make it like the best on-brand stuff ever, but also allowing you to create a brand ID. So currently, if you go to a designer for your Pantones, your fonts and all that stuff, it costs a fortune, and AI can do that. So I think Jasper is definitely the biggest competitor, and they are very, very good. But I do think that there's room for improvement on some of this stuff. But you guys should use it 100%. If you can afford it, use it. It'll make your life much easier.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks. Can I just want to follow up one question as well, which is, I've noticed when I actually hadn't noticed that the customized ChatGPT thing had existed. So thank you for pointing that out. I do a lot of like pre-prompting chats and things. But in your experience of using that, do you think there's like a good amount of stuff to put in there? Like, so you can put a few lines in there, you can put a huge amount of detail. You said it sort of tails off in terms of like how much it prioritizes things. I find sometimes when you put a very, very long, like quite a long prompt is often quite good for an ordinary chat. A very, very long one, sometimes, I don't know. Sometimes you want to feed it loads of information for lots of different tasks and sort of store it there, or do you, would you change it for every task?
Even so, when I use ChatGPT, I generally don't write long prompts. I'm not a long prompter, to be honest. I write very short prompts, and I don't know if my ChatGPT responds well because I've been working with it with marketing and it has a memory. They say now they've introduced a memory. They're lying. It's had a memory all along. I know that for a fact. So it's learning from you when you use it. I don't write very long prompts. And in my custom instructions, there's generally very seldom anything because I don't know, I probably know how to use it differently, so I don't need to do that. But I think that if you're putting stuff in there just to fill the 1,500 words on both the sections, don't. Rather put a few things in that you are confident in and see what it writes. Ask it a question and see what it writes, and then add something in and see what it writes then, and then take something out and see what it writes then. So I think it's about testing what works for different things. I don't think there's one answer for that. I mean, that's the easy way to answer that question. But generally, I mean, the shorter, the more succinct you are, the better it is. But some things need a long explanation, right? So
yeah. One weird thing I think found sometimes works well is asking ChatGPT what it would like as a prompt, and it tells you the sorts of things that are quite useful.
Yes, it does. And what you guys can also do, that was actually in the very last slide, there's a bunch of prompt tips, is once you've asked it to write a blog, ask it, did you keep to the word count? Did you do exactly what I asked? How would you improve this? Please improve your work. And then you can say, like, now act as your boss and make this better. So you should do that every time anything you ask ChatGPT to do, go, now act as your boss and make this better. Or like, please improve this as an expert in world-renowned expert in marketing, stuff like that. Like, there's so much you can do. And you guys are all going to become wizards. I can see that. People are excited. That's good. Any other questions?
Alrighty, cool. I'm going to stop the recording